Hello, this is my song Midnight Highway, and I'm going to talk about how I wrote the song, why I wrote the song, and all of that. I'm kind of switching gears on this channel a lot, trying new things, trying different things, and one of the things I'm trying is to write a song in a day. No expectations, no kind of genre set, I just do whatever I like, basically, right? And see what comes out of it. Maybe you can let me know in the comments what genre this is, because I don't know. I don't listen to electronic music. I just did whatever here, right? So one of the things that I did want to try with this small project was how much could I even do in a day or like in an evening. And I really wanted to try Ableton's session view. So I never use session view. I always use arrangement view, right? This one. Session view is kind of new to me. I was unfamiliar with it, although it's Ableton's standout feature, right? Yeah, so let's start out. So what I have here now is the mixed version of Midnight Highway. I have split every instrument into different groups. So I have synth groups and I have instrument groups, and then I have the drums. What I started out with is just one single track with drums where I wrote the MIDI. And this is the MIDI. It's very, very basic. For mixing purposes, I actually split them up so I can mix the kick, snare, a clap, and cymbals separately. So I have here just a kick. And here is the snare, right? The MIDI was written in one single track, and I was working with one single track while writing, because that's obviously a lot easier than doing this while writing, and yeah. But for mixing purposes, I had to split this up, so I started with this. I just kind of wrote this very, very basic synth line using this saw complex bass from, I think it's from Ableton, built-in stuff. I didn't really think about anything doing while writing the song, and that's kind of the thing that I came up with. It sounds like it's kind of syncopating over the drums. It isn't really, but I thought it was fine, and it was just something, and it kind of sounded goofy and silly, and I thought, okay, let's continue with this. So the next part that I came up with is this. And this is just the same line, it's just one octave lower, right? It's the same part. And then I had also added this. Which made it a lot darker and very moody and very stylized, I think, immediately. And I really like this. And this is an epilogue. Again, I think it's a synth from Ableton. I also never use synths. I never use Ableton stock virtual instruments or samples. I don't even know where I got it from. Okay. So that's what it is. Right, stop. I never use I never use sounds or drums from Ableton. I don't know. Ableton is kind of made for synth guys. I'm not a synth guy, but I like Ableton anyway. So it's a pad from Ableton that I kind of adjusted a bit, and this is something that happened during the mixing process. So I pulled out all of the bass, the low bass frequencies from the sides, so it's kind of more mono in the low end. There's a saturator on it, an EQ, and then I have this kind of effect that it kind of slightly pans this synth from left to right over time. It's cool. So I came up with that, and I thought, oh, that's actually really cool. So that's how it sounds. So it's kind of dark, synthy. Recently I tend to listen to kind of dark ambient music. I hear kind of high-pitched, plucky guitar instruments a lot, like also Japanese instruments, for example, koto or shamisen, or banjos. Very bright, kind of plucky instruments. And while writing for Drover, I found the bouzouki that I fell in love with. The bouzouki is a great amazing instrument from Ireland, apparently. I have no idea, but it's what it is. And it sounds really cool. I have a contact library for it. And I'm actually considering getting it in real life if I can afford it at some point. This is how it looks like, and this is how it sounds. And obviously I added some effects to it, right? So if it's just the instrument, then it sounds like this. And I think it sounds really cool. It's very bright. It has a kind of a long sustain. It's really cool for effects and for stylizing it. So it's not an Asian instrument, but it kind of gives off that kind of Tokyo cyberpunk kind of vibe. And I think it's really cool in this song, especially because it's not an Asian instrument. It's something else, right? The next part. There's a lot of reverb and effects going on. I really like what I did here is I have a ping pong delay. I love ping pong delays. It's set quite high, so it's delaying a lot. That goes straight into a reverb. It's 100% reverb. So that sounds like this. And what I then did is, so this is an audio effect track, which means that the signal is split into however many chains I want to have. In this example, I have 2 chains. The first chain is literally just a utility chain that I kind of reduce the width of it. So, and then I have an envelope follower, which I will talk about soon. But this is how it sounds. So it's basically the DI tone. And the second chain is the delay reverb chain. What I noticed is that the reverb and delay chain kind of masks the DI sound. So what I did is, first of all, I turned it down by 10 dB. I put an envelope follower on the DI chain. And what it does is I can then dynamically change parameters in Ableton, whatever parameter I want. It listens to the volume of the instrument. So and I mapped this to this EQ. So whenever the DI track is playing, I actually ducking these frequencies in the delay EQ, so the DI can actually stand out. This is something that I did in mixing. Before that, the Bouzouki didn't even have any delay. I think that's really cool. It works for me. And also in this part, I added this synth. Oh, this organ, sorry, this organ. And normally I would say that if it's like a dark electronic song, kind of synthy, there shouldn't be organs in there. There shouldn't be like a bouzouki in there, but I don't care. And I think that it sounds great, so I'm using whatever, right? So this is just a very kind of standard organ. I think it's even from the Contact Factory library. It's Woodstock organ, whatever. Right, it's a rock organ. I have some chains here, again, a delay that's kind of similar to what I did with the bouzouki. I have one audio effect that is just going straight through, a bit reduced, and I mixed them together. And I have a shifter that kind of makes it a bit wider. There's a ring going on, which is just a ring modulator that helps with this kind of Rhodes effect a bit. And that's it. That's all it is. The next part is a break where I add the female choir. I think it's really cool. What I did with the female choir is actually a lot. So normally it sounds like this. I take out all of the bass frequencies that I boost the highs a bit to heighten the transients to make it more stand out in the mix. I put it through a saturator to kind of adjust the waveform to be a bit compressed and saturated again for the transients. I have a transient master also on this that heightens the attack and reduces sustain. what the core effect is actually this amp. So this is how it sounds. This is how it sounds without the amp. It's actually a bit too much, I would even say. The amp, what it does with the clean preset, it adds so much high information to it that it just cuts through the mix. It sounds really cool and in your face and epic. And I still have the kind of utility going here that is just the DI tone. So the amp is basically just the highs, and the utility chain is basically the mids. Yeah, and then I obviously just put a bit of reverb on it. It's a kind of 25% reverb. It's a cathedral, I like cathedral reverb. That's what you get. And I think that's it for the break part. I also switched up the drums a bit. This is one thing that I noticed with working with the session view, is that I tend to reuse the same loops over and over. So I intentionally switched up the drums here for a bit to have a second section in the song that's different from the others. Yeah, so the next thing is the solo. What is this? So this is a different organ part. Then I have and then I add the bouzouki again. So nothing new, I'm just mixing and matching the loops together. Then I have a break solo that adds the next lead sound or synth sound, so that's what it is. And this is literally, again, just an Ableton sound ARP polylead thing. I didn't really mess with it. For this I have a chorus and I have a transient master that adds more attack and sustain. And then I have an effect track that is... okay. I'm EQing the DI and then putting it to a reverb. So that's the reverb. Right. Okay, so I think that the idea here was, it's a couple days ago, so I don't really remember. I think the idea was that I added this slight reverb to hide the note changes, because it's kind of abrupt, right? It's kind of a bit choppy, so I just added as a reverb to mask the kind of transitions, and I think it works. Yeah, and it's a very kind of standard synth sound, right? And then I go into all, which I have a different melody for this synth, and that's how it sounds, right? I really like this part. It sounds very kind of futuristic for me, and kind of dystopian, futuristic, cyberpunk future. Especially, I really like the instruments. And also the synths are cool. instruments and the synths group have EQs that are dynamically reacting to the kick. That I put an envelope follower on the kick and on the snare. That makes the instruments react. So if you look at this, maybe this part. That delay is very long. Actually, it's probably too long, honestly. But I don't care. I think I like this part because it's a very interesting blend of kind of electronic drums with synths, but it has a choir and it has old-timey organ in it, and a bouzouki, which is a traditional instrument. So it's very kind of all over the place, but it works. I think it works great. I really like the bouzouki in this song. The synths are doing their thing, and I think the lead and the bass synth are actually working quite well together. And then obviously I had to end it somehow, so I just took out instruments. And I decided to end it on the bouzouki because I love it so much and I like the sound of it, but also on the kind of synth bass because that's how the song started. Right? It starts with drums and the synth bass. So yeah, that's it. And I wrote the song. I was kind of frustrated, and I wrote this in about like maybe 2 hours. I thought this is really cool. It's very weird and I would say unique because I don't listen to electronic music a lot, so maybe this is like a specific genre. I kind of skimmed through the electronic music genres and I saw dark electronic, so I haven't listened to dark electronic, but I think this might be it, you know? I didn't really have a specific goal in mind when writing the music. I didn't really have a specific goal in mind when mixing the music, so I was very free in what I was doing. I think it turned out quite well because of that, actually. And to be fair, I wrote this in 2 hours. I mixed this in probably 2 to 3 hours. So it's not like I did it in 2 hours, right? But it's still quite quick, I would say. So, yeah. All right, so see you in the next video, and I hope this is cool or whatever, you know, and I'm going to do more music. Bye! All right, I'm done with this. It's released, you know, fuck off.